the sports podcast with the youngest, most daring, intrepid, gutsy, fearless host on the planet. Get ready for Jake's Takes. Here's Jake.
My guest today is an absolute legend. He played college ball with the Arizona Wildcats and was a two-time first-team all-conference player and had his number retired. He played 15 seasons in the NBA and has the highest career three-point field goal percentage in NBA history. And get ready for it, he's a 9-time NBA champion, winning 5 titles as a player with the Chicago Bulls and San Antonio Spurs, and 4 titles as head coach of the Golden State Warriors. He was also the 2016 NBA Coach of the Year and 2-time NBA All-Star head coach. It's my absolute honor to welcome to Jake's Takes the only man to have to bail out Michael Jordan, the legend himself, Steve Kerr. What's up, Coach? How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Jake. It's exciting to be on your show with you.
You know, Coach, I'm not going to lie. I still can't get over it. I'm so excited to have a chance to talk hoops with you. I've had some amazing coaches on my show. I've had Raptors coach Nick Nurse. What a guy. Nuggets coach Michael Malone. We had so much fun together. Suns coach Patrick Mutombo. And now to have you, Coach, just insane. So I just wanted to thank you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. It's pretty impressive what you're doing, Jake. You got your own podcast at how are you 12?
Yes, I'm 12.
There's not many 12-year-olds who have podcasts and are getting guests like you are. So you're rolling. Keep it going.
You know, I actually started this when I was 11, and I'm donating all the proceeds that I make to a school here in Toronto for kids with special needs.
That's awesome. That is fantastic.
So, Coach, how was your summer? I'm sure it was much more enjoyable since you won the chip, but...
There's nothing better than the summer after winning an NBA championship. Whether you're a player or a coach, it's just, you roll into the off season, you got that glow that comes from winning the title, that great feeling of satisfaction, and then the feeling of, having some time off and being able to breathe and take a vacation and be with your family, be with your friends. So it's been a great summer.
Yeah, I'm sure Chris Paul loves that time.
Ooh, taking shots. Jake, wow.
I love Chris. I love Chris. So I've got some great stuff to talk with you about. You ready to talk some basketball, Coach?
Let's do it.
So how can I not start with the championship you just won? I mean, everybody always talks about Steph, Clay, and Draymond, and rightfully so. These three are kind of like ridiculously unbeatable. But this year's championship team had much more than just those three. I'm talking about the role players that stepped up, like Jordan Poole, Otto Porter Jr., Gary Payton. How valuable were these guys to this roster?
Those guys were amazing. I think, Jake, every championship team is kind of built around a core group of stars. You look at the history of the game, there's always like 3 guys, 4 guys who teams are built around. When I was in Chicago, it was obviously, Michael, Pippen, Dennis Rodman. In San Antonio, it was, Duncan and Robinson. Every team's got a core group, and with us, it's been Steph, Clay, Draymond, Andre Iguodala. Those are the mainstays. But every championship team has to have guys who step up and fill different roles. And that was maybe the most satisfying part of this year's title, besides watching Steph get his MVP for the first time. But just seeing Andrew Wiggins, seeing Jordan Poole, seeing Kevon Looney, these guys were so good and did such a great job at every level. And it's so gratifying as a coach to see players like that kind of take a leap and become championship players, because it's life-changing for them. I mean, it changes their identity. It changes how they feel about themselves, and it changes their place in the league. And it was beautiful to watch because those guys are all hard workers and great teammates.
So, Coach, to me, what really makes you quite the coach is how you can make the tough decisions when it matters. I mean, like, when you guys were down 2-1 in the series against Boston, you made a huge change. You put Otto Porter Jr. in the starting lineup. And what led to that decision? Because, geez, how do you always know which strings to pull?
Well, you don't always know, but as a coach, it's important to follow your gut and to hash out all the possibilities with your coaching staff, and that's what we did. And that's pretty much what most playoff series are about. You start kind of the way you usually do, and then you have to make adjustments. And to me, adjustments usually come after 2 or 3 games because then you have a good feel for where you are. So that particular move, we liked Otto Porter on the floor to start the game for more spacing. So we put him in to Looney's spot. And then we also liked Looney playing against their smaller lineup, when they went to the bench, usually middle of the first quarter. And it might sound a little counterintuitive, but Looney is so good switching onto guards that we kind of preferred the rotation to go that way, and that was why we made the change. And it worked out well. But I think more than anything, Steph got rolling in that game 4, and that turned the tide. I mean, his fourth quarter was unbelievable, and once we won that game, it really changed the momentum of the series.
Speaking of Steph, the one thing everybody always credits him for is his work ethic. I mean, he came into the league, he was a great three-point shooter already, but he worked his butt off to become the ball handler he is today. But it's awesome to see how much he worked on his defense. Come on, tell me it's not true. His defense has improved so much. Am I wrong, Coach?
No, you're dead on. And it's been dramatic, Jake. I mean, I think when I came in 2014, I look at photos or highlights from that year to now, and his body has transformed. He's so much stronger. He's so much more capable of taking a blow and standing his ground and being able to guard, bigger, stronger players. And then a lot of it is experience too, because for years now, I would say since, Cleveland, we started playing Cleveland in the finals in 15 and beyond, their strategy became, let's get Steph switched on to LeBron or Kyrie and make him have to work defensively. And so everybody sort of followed that strategy after that. And the idea is to make Steph work on defense, to wear him down so that he's more tired on offense. And I think it was one of the best things to happen to him because it forced him to become a really good defender, forced him to get stronger. And Steph's one of those guys who's just always working to get better, no matter how good he already is. So, I think you nailed it. His defense is dramatically better.
I bet Minnesota must be regretting, I think it was 2007, that draft class. 2 picks in a row. Oof.
Yeah. What I've learned, Jake, I've been in the league now 30 plus years. And you could go to every single draft. You could just go down the list and you go, oh man, why didn't, this team take that guy? And
like Jokic.
Yeah.
41?
Yeah. And now he's 2-time MVP. I mean, it's such a hard thing to predict where players are going to be. And so, I'm just glad he dropped to the Warriors.
Yep. So speaking of defense, the Celtics have an insane 1-2 punch on the offensive end with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. It's super tough to try and guard those two. And everybody, though, puts it in that order with Tatum as 1 and Brown as 2. I disagree. And no disrespect to Tatum, but Jaylen Brown was the backbone of this team in the playoffs. He played amazing D, shot very efficiently, and which guy dropped 34 in Game 6 of the finals? Shooting over 50%, might I add, while the so-called number 1 put up 13 points. And to be clear, I love Jason Tatum too. But come on, Jaylen Brown deserves some more respect. So please, Coach, confirm this for me so my friends will just shut up and agree.
I was really lucky to be able to coach both guys in the World Cup. Greg Popovich was the head coach, and I was one of the assistants in 2019. And both Jason and Jaylen were on that team. And then last year, being an assistant on the Olympic team, Jason was on that team. So I've gotten to know both of them. They're both fantastic and great players, great human beings, great teammates. I think they're very different as players. Jason is the guy you kind of run the offense through because he's, the better one-on-one player. And Jaylen is one of the great athletes in the league. And so you get him on the run and transition or coming off a curl, and he gets the ball going downhill, and he's devastating. So they're both all-star players. They're both great players. And the fact that they're both on the same team and still really young, that's a great sign if you're a Celtics fan, getting to watch those two guys together for years to come.
I know firsthand how great of a person Jaylen Brown is, because a couple years ago, I think it was Jaylen's second season in the league, I went to a Raptors versus Celtics game, and my father has a friend who gave us courtside tickets for that game, and I was sitting right next to the Celtics bench. The whole game I'm asking Jaylen, can I have your warm-up shirt? Can I have your warm-up shirt? I was wearing a Warrior shirt, so he must be proud of me, Coach. But anyway, the Celtics go down by 40. Probably 2 minutes left of the game. I look at Jaylen. I'm like, Jaylen, please, can I have your warm-up shirt? He's like, I can't, buddy. It's my only one. I'm like, here, I'll give you this Warrior shirt. Then you can wear a real team shirt. And he's like Terry Rozier, and the whole bench goes, ooh. It was great. And then after the game, Jaylen walked over to me and gave me his game used shoes. So I can never forget that. It was very nice of him.
Wow, he gave you his game shoes even after you took that shot at him.
Yep.
That is a good guy.
Yeah. Did Michael give you his game used shoes after you took the shot at him about having to bail him out again?
Nope, I didn't get any shoes from Michael.
Okay, so Coach, I have to talk to you about the 2019 NBA Finals. I mean, I'm a Raptors fan, and you guys were so banged up. How do you guys still put up such an incredible fight? Tell me, Coach. Did the Raptors stand a chance if KD wasn't injured?
Yeah, well, they were a great team. That was such a well-coached, well-put-together team. When they got Kawhi, it just changed everything. But, they had these guys who were such gamers, such competitors between Kyle Lowry and Marc Gasol, Pascal Siakam, Serge. I mean, and then Van Vliet, who's been one of the great stories in this league for years now. After going undrafted, they were just tough. They were great defensively, and the ball really moved. Gasol was really helpful in that regard. I thought when they traded for Gasol in the middle of the season, that was kind of what put them over the top. So they're a great team. It was a hell of a series. Obviously, our injuries to Kevin and Clay hurt, but I was really proud of our guys just to force it to Game 6. Especially being down 3-1 in Toronto, to win that game was pretty remarkable. And so I was really proud of the fight. But Toronto was a great team, and they deserved it.
I think it was Charles Barkley that said he was roasting the Raptors a little bit. He's like, congratulations to the Toronto Raptors for beating the Golden State Warrior. Yeah.
Warrior.
They were all injured. There's only one of them.
That's what Charles said?
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, injuries are a part of the championship every year, and I've learned that. I've been on both sides of it, Jake. I mean, my first year with the Warriors, we won the title against Cleveland, and they had lost Kyrie and Kevin Love to injury. They were both out. So that was a huge blow for them. And then the next year when we lost to them in 2016, when Cleveland beat us, Steph was banged up, and then we lost Bogut to an injury, I think, in Game 5. which was a big blow. And then Draymond got suspended. And so all that stuff always matters, like you got to be lucky and on the right end of breaks to win a championship. And it factors in. It doesn't diminish anything anybody ever does. It's all part of it.
Yeah, there's been tons and tons of Kevin Durant rumors over the summer, Woj bombs dropping everywhere. And I just wanted to say that the Raptors were one of the teams in the mix, but they didn't want to give up Scottie Barnes. Tell me, what are your impressions of Scottie Barnes so far? What is he like as a player?
He's such an interesting player. He just has such good feel. I remember when he was coming out in the draft, I don't really watch much college basketball because I'm busy with our team. And but I remember Bob Myers telling me early in the season, he goes, "You're really going to like this Scottie Barnes kid from was it Florida State?" Yeah. And so I didn't really see him at all, and I wasn't heavily involved in the draft. That's just not part of my job description. But when the draft came around, I'd sit in on the draft meetings and stuff and watch the little tape, and you could see how right Bob was in terms of just his feel. And anytime you get a guy that size who's that athletic, who has that type of feel, you've got a great player.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you this. The Raptors just signed Otto Porter Jr. this offseason, and you would know best about Otto. Please tell me, what should the Raptors be excited for? What should they be expecting from Otto Porter Jr. on and off the court?
Well, he's another guy with great feel. Otto just knows the game so well. He's a great passer. He's always in the right spot. Really good offensive rebounder. Bigger than I expected. Obviously I had coached against him, but when you coach somebody every day, you kind of get a feel for what kind of player he is. And I was really impressed just with his size and strength. And then he's such a good shooter that you can play him at the 4 and space the floor, and he gives you a lot of space for your drivers and penetrators. So I love Otto. He's a great teammate, great guy to coach, and that was a hell of a pickup for Toronto.
Thank God. Okay, so the Memphis Grizzlies are a team on the rise, and boy, do they have attitude. The comments went back and forth between your players and John Morant and Dylan Brooks. Just like, sheesh. Do you like it when your team stands up for themselves, or do you get a little bit upset at them? Like, hey, calm down.
No, I love that stuff. It's so fun, Jake. You just want competition. You want people to be excited about competing, and so sometimes that leads to trash talk or whatever. I think Morant is amazing, and just watching him play and playing against him, competing against him, he plays with so much joy and passion, and lifts his whole team up, and it's always really fun to compete against really good teams, and Memphis is really, really good.
Okay, so Coach, 2 more questions. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so the one thing I noticed about the players you coach is the confidence you give them. I mean, you seem to realize better than anyone that a good shooter has a lot of confidence. For example, Draymond Green, not known to be a shooter, but he constantly gets the green light and hits down big shots. And now with Andrew Wiggins, we saw the same thing. He had a monster year. How do you teach your players to be confident in their shooting?
I think it's just the vibe that you create every day in practice. We want our guys to play loose and free, and as long as they're not playing wildly, then freedom leads to confidence. And so we always walk the line a little bit. You've seen our team. Sometimes we have too many turnovers and make some interesting decisions with the ball, shall we say. But we try to really fuel our players with confidence, and I never yell at a guy for taking a bad shot. We might, watch tape after the game and just say, hey, we can get a better one here or whatever. But really leaning into, making the players feel good about their game and giving them freedom, I think, is important.
That must be good for Jordan Poole because he takes a lot of pretty suspicious shots, but he hits them. So, it's good. It's good.
Jordan had a great year last year. I mean, I'm really proud of him and all the work he's put in, especially when you consider where he was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when he was a rookie. He's just come so far, and we give him a lot of freedom because he creates a lot of shots for us, both for himself and for others. So he's a very important player for us, and he's a great young player.
What was it, like 3 logo shots he had this year or something? Like he's the definition of confident in the shot.
Well, he watches Steph every day, so he's learning from the best.
Okay, so you got to play with the best player of all time, Michael Jordan. And you won 3 titles with him, too. Can you tell me about his compete level? Like, tell me a good story that not everybody knows. Come on, I got to get the good stuff.
All right. I'll tell you one. I was with Phoenix my rookie season, and I never played. I was, I was at the end of the bench. I was just trying to make it. And we played a preseason game against the Bulls, and Jordan caught the ball right in front of our bench. And he turned, he was like palming the ball like he did, and he turned and he looked right at me. And he said, watch this. And then he turned around and he made a move. Dan Marley was guarding him. And he went one-on-one. He got to the middle and he went right to the rim and he laid it in. And then he looked back at our bench and was laughing. And, that was like my welcome to the NBA moment. I wasn't even on the floor and I was terrified. I was like, oh my God, how am I ever going to be able to make it in this league? But that's how good Jordan was. He would just talk trash to everybody and, just look at the bench and smile. And he just knew he was better than everybody.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask quickly, do you think Michael would still dominate if he was in today's NBA game?
He would dominate even more, Jake. I mean, because back then you could be a lot more physical and there wasn't nearly as much space because we didn't have the 3-point shooting that we do now. So if you put him in today's game, he would get to the rim at will. And I think he'd also be a better 3-point shooter because he would work at it. Back then, he didn't really work a ton on his 3-point shots because it wasn't a thing, back then. He was, he'd go down on the block and work on his low post game. But if he played in today's game, he'd be taking a couple hundred threes every day at practice and he'd be much better.
I saw this thing. It was like Michael Jordan. They asked him, he's like, I think it's fake, but they asked him, they're like, would your 96 Bulls beat the 2017 Golden State Warriors? He's like, yeah. They're like, so by how much? He's like, by 2 to 3 points. Like, oh, why such a close game? He's like, well, most of us are almost 60 now.
That's a pretty good line.
Okay, Coach, I really can't describe how special of an experience it was to have you on my show today. Did you enjoy your time with me?
It was awesome, Jake. You do a great job, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Coach.